The Jungle of Jokes, a roaringly funny review of Disney's Tarzan. Welcome, dear listener, to the wild and hilarious world of Disney's Tarzan, where the laws of nature and common sense have been tossed aside like a banana peel in favor of gravity-defying acrobatics, improbable animal friendships, and some seriously questionable parenting choices. So grab your vine and swing along with us as we journey through this uproarious jungle adventure. First and foremost, we must address the central premise of the film. A baby boy is raised by a tribe of gorillas after his parents are tragically killed by a leopard. Ignoring the fact that a real-life gorilla would likely view a human baby as a tasty snack rather than a potential family member, we're somehow expected to believe that Tarzan's adoptive mother, Kala, manages to keep him hidden from the rest of the tribe long enough for them to accept him as one of their own. Because nothing says inconspicuous like a pale, hairless ape child swinging through the trees. Speaking of swinging, let's discuss Tarzan's apparent mastery of jungle parkour. This wild child can somehow glide effortlessly through the canopy on conveniently placed vines, while also expertly dodging branches, snakes, and various other jungle hazards. It's as if the trees themselves are in cahoots with Tarzan, conspiring to create the perfect arboreal obstacle course for his gravity-defying antics. As Tarzan grows up, he befriends an eclectic group of jungle dwellers, including the sassy elephant Tantor and the wisecracking gorilla Turk. One can't help but wonder how these animals manage to communicate so effortlessly with one another, given that their vocalizations would likely be unintelligible to other species. Perhaps Disney secretly developed an animal universal translator and forgot to mention it in the film's opening credits. But the real hilarity begins when Tarzan encounters his first human, the plucky British explorer Jane Porter. Somehow, despite having been raised by gorillas, Tarzan's grasp of the English language goes from non-existent to fluent in a matter of days. Who knew that gorilla grunts and elephant trumpets were such a solid foundation for learning English? And let's not forget the film's dastardly villain, Clayton, who is essentially a walking caricature of colonial arrogance and greed. Armed with a shotgun, a nefarious mustache, and an insatiable appetite for gorilla pelts, Clayton's villainy is about as subtle as a rampaging rhinoceros. It's a wonder that Jane and her father didn't catch on to his nefarious intentions sooner, given that he practically oozes evil from every pore. The film's soundtrack, courtesy of Phil Collins, is equal parts catchy and baffling. While the songs themselves are undeniably toe-tapping, one can't help but ponder the strange decision to have them narrate the action on screen rather than allowing the characters to express themselves through song. It's as if Disney decided that the best way to tell this story was through a series of jungle-themed music videos. Of course, no review of Tarzan would be complete without discussing the incredible animation that brings this jungle adventure to life. Despite the film's many logical inconsistencies, one must admit that the lush, vibrant visuals are truly a sight to behold. From the detailed character designs to the sweeping landscapes, it's clear that Disney spared no expense in creating a world that's as beautiful as it is absurd. Now, let's address the elephant-sized plot hole in the room, the matter of Tarzan's impeccable grooming habits. Despite having been raised in the wild with no access to razors or tweezers, our jungle hero somehow sports a perfectly smooth chest and a neatly trimmed goatee. One can only assume that Tarzan has discovered some sort of secret jungle salon, where the animals come together to provide one another with fabulous makeovers. And while we're on the subject of improbabilities, we must also discuss the film's thrilling climax, in which Tarzan single-handedly takes on an entire ship full of armed thugs. Armed with nothing more than his animal cunning and an uncanny ability to dodge bullets, our hero somehow manages to defeat his heavily armed adversaries without so much as breaking a sweat. It's a testament to Disney's storytelling prowess that we're able to suspend our disbelief long enough to cheer Tarzan on, even as the laws of physics and probability crumble around him. Finally, let's take a moment to appreciate the film's underlying message, that love and acceptance can bridge even the widest cultural divides. While the film's many absurdities may provide us with endless laughs, at its heart, Tarzan is a story about finding one's true family and discovering the power of love. It's a touching sentiment, even if it's wrapped up in a package that's more than a little bananas. As we continue our hilarious journey through Disney's Tarzan, we must also take a moment to acknowledge the bizarre decision to include a fully functional gramophone in the heart of the African jungle. Despite being thousands of miles from the nearest record store or power outlet, Jane's father, Professor Porter, somehow manages to lug this antique contraption through the wilderness, providing the perfect soundtrack for Tarzan's impromptu dance lessons. And speaking of dance lessons, let's take a closer look at the budding romance between Tarzan and Jane. As their feelings for each other grow, they share a series of increasingly elaborate dance sequences, culminating in a gravity-defying waltz through the treetops. While the sight of two humans effortlessly pirouetting through the air is undeniably entertaining, one can't help but wonder how they manage to pull off such feats without a single lesson in aerial acrobatics. When it comes to the animal kingdom, Disney's Tarzan is certainly not lacking in variety. From the pint-sized chameleon that serves as Tarzan's trusty sidekick to the fearsome leopard that stalks the jungle, the film is teeming with creatures great and small. But perhaps the most perplexing of all is the colony of tree-dwelling gorillas that somehow managed to avoid detection by humans for decades. One must assume that these elusive primates possess some sort of magical cloaking device, rendering them invisible to all but the most intrepid of explorers. In conclusion, Disney's Tarzan is a wildly entertaining roller coaster ride through a world where logic takes a back seat to laughter, and the laws of nature are as flexible as the vines that crisscross the jungle. While the film's many absurdities may leave us scratching our heads, there's no denying the infectious charm and heartwarming message that lies at its core. So buckle up, dear listener, and prepare to be swept away on a hilarious adventure through the uproarious, logic-defying world of Disney's Tarzan.